Well, we often hear the term youth shelter in the news discussed by community leaders and authorities, but we don't often hear from the youth themselves who experience these shelters every day. So Andrew Kushner went around to ask them about it. The Toronto actor and playwright took his video camera and recorder to a shelter in Rexdale and spent hours and hours interviewing the staff and the residents about what it's like to be a young person living in a shelter and what brought them there. Out of those conversations, Kushner wrote a play and is putting it on the stage. Here's an excerpt.
Can you give examples of how they're helping you out here?
I don't know what I would do if there was nobody like them here.
Can you imagine what is that life if there was no support system?
I don't know. I don't know. I would be like crazy, like seriously, because I wouldn't have nobody to talk to or to vent at least. And there's only so much times you can vent to yourself, right? Like, I'm tired of looking in that mirror venting. No, I'm joking.
And you're going to be a dad.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I'm happy.
Yeah? Are these your first kids or?
Yeah. Well, first kids I'll actually get to see. I have one kid, but I don't get to talk to him anymore.
And you say kids because it's twins.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what she thinks. I'm worried about that.
Why are you worried?
2 kids for the price of 1, man. Wouldn't you be worried? It's going to be a struggle, but...
Are you looking forward to that?
I get to chisel somebody's life out, figure out what I want them to be when they get older. What couldn't be exciting about that?
Yeah. And if you were to have a job...
Oh, actually, I do have a job. Yeah, I work as a receptionist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where?
Century 21.
And do they know you're in a shelter?
For right now, they don't know anything about me other than my name, my social insurance number, that's it.
Do you find it tricky living with a secret?
Sometimes, because I have, like, a nosy partner's secretary.
And what do you think would happen, let's say, with this coworker if she found out you were in a shelter?
Oh, it would be no. It would be no ifs, ands, or buts. I would probably end up getting looks because I'm sure she would go to my boss. Because she's been there 3 years. She would go to my boss, and already you think of shelter, you think of, oh God, like, dirty, what's coming in this place to work for us? She's going to probably end up stealing. These are just characteristics of... I know, I thought before I even came into a shelter, that's what I thought. And so if you have somebody living in a shelter working for you, you kind of contemplate, okay, should I have her working for us?
Yeah.
And then she's pregnant on top of that? Oh, no, thank you. This is too much trouble.
Yeah.
And then fire me, right?
Those were actors Jessica Greenberg, Kevin Walker, and Andrew Kushner from Kushner's play called The Middle Place. It's a real-life docu-drama on the stage. The play has appeared in workshop form at Summer Works and Theatre Passe Muraille and opens tonight at the Berkeley Street Theatre in a presentation by Canadian Stage. And for more, I'm joined now by Andrew Kushner. Good afternoon.
Hi.
So you're not a youth shelter resident yourself. What were you expecting when you went in there for the first time?
I always say that I expected youth that would be much tougher and much more fragile than the people I ended up encountering. I had very solid preconceived notions. I think a lot of people have preconceived notions of what this community is like and what its members are like. And I went in with those prejudices and had them debunked largely. That's really been my experience. Yeah.
So it was a bit of an eye-opener for you.
Certainly, yeah. And I suspected it would be. I didn't feel comfortable with the fear or the apprehension I felt about engaging with that community. The shelter I entered is in the Rexdale area. It's a tougher neighborhood. And coming from a middle-class background, that was a foreign environment for me.
So what were the people like?
Well, I think I call it a non-epiphany because it feels obvious to me now, but I think that they are like us. They are 1 or 2 events away from us. Had a few things gone differently for me in my life, it's very, very clear to me that I could have had that fate of homelessness.
And so you went into this shelter with your tape recorder.
Video camera, actually.
Video camera. Yeah. How hard was it to get people to talk to you?
It wasn't terribly difficult because Project Humanity, the company I work with, was going into the shelters to do drama programs. So we were doing these workshops with the youth, and we were building a level of trust and really starting to build a relationship with that community. So it really became sort of an extension of that relationship to kind of say, okay, we're working with you on an ongoing basis. We are consistently coming here and visiting with you and playing these games and trying to bolster your leadership skills. And now let's have a conversation. And if you're willing, I'd love to tape it, and I'd love to put these words in a play.
How did you get, a sense of truth from them? Was there some suspicion, maybe some hostility on their part?
I think that the play really captures, every interview starts with a little bit of, I'm sure you experienced this too, every interview starts with a little bit of tentativeness and, what is the agenda and questions of judgment. And I think, frankly, the anonymity afforded to these youth was really a big factor in the candor I experienced, because their names do not appear in the play. They are given pseudonyms, either by names they've chosen or that I've given. And that anonymity really afforded them this ability to just sort of be themselves.
And how did you decide whose stories to tell in your play?
There were about 450, depending on how I look at it, maybe up to 500 pages of transcripts after all the interviews were done. And it was very easy for me, actually, to find the moments that I wanted to feature, because in that interview experience, I was myself punctured or impacted by things they said. And I knew that if I was being impacted in the experience of speaking with them, that could communicate something to an audience. So those pieces became I call them arias almost. They're the moments where we open up and we sing. And those become the focal points of the play.
Who is this play for?
Truly for everyone. It's for at-risk youth. Certainly they're going to see themselves on stage. They're going to hear themselves on stage. It's for high school youth. These are their peers. And as the play goes to reveal, there is no clear definition of what a homeless youth is or looks like or acts like. There are no borders as far as that goes. So it's a really fascinating piece for young people because they are connecting with themselves in a way. And I truly believe the general audiences also can see themselves in this piece. It's, I think, the director Alan Dilworth calls it a reflecting pool. And I think the play reflects ourselves in it, our prejudices, our preconceived notions. And if you really undergo that experience, by the end you're going, okay, so how do I now feel about these young people when I see them in the street, or I see them on the escalator at Eaton Centre, or on the subway, or in Rexdale, or anywhere?
You play the kind of the interviewer.
Yeah.
You play yourself
exactly
in the play, and you use 4 actors. Did you consider using some of the young people themselves?
Because of their vulnerable circumstances, we basically went into this community, we got to know these young people, and we tried to figure out what model will best capture a portrait of this world. And it was very clear that because of the stigmas around youth homelessness, that most of the youth would not have wanted to have been in the piece. And frankly, it wasn't the exploration we were looking to do. We didn't want to have an audience, worry about the welfare. We wanted to have audiences experience the content, the words themselves. And so it was a different project. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Good luck with opening night.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Andrew Kushner is the playwright of The Middle Place, in which he also appears as a performer. The Canadian stage production opens tonight at the Berkeley Street Theatre downstairs and runs until March 12th.